Welcome to Joomla Juice, episode 6. Well, today we're talking to Julian Moore from the band Georgia Wonder. Julian's really interesting in that it took him falling over around Christmas time and breaking his ankle to find the time to build a website. In fact, his story was so interesting that we just got chatting and I hadn't actually pressed the record button, so a little bit of the front end of the story I've missed, but you'll get the gist of it. Julian's website is www.gwonder.com, and it's a great first effort. It's also full of good marketing ideas for people who've got bands and are looking to promote themselves on the web, so listen to the whole story. There's also a slight audio problem. We used AIM instead of Skype. We won't be doing that again, so apologies for that, but here's Julian.
It went live. This is the story. If you've read the blog,
yeah,
you might have realised that I sprained my ankle really badly just before Christmas. So it's ruined my Christmas. If I hadn't have sprained my ankle, we would not have a website.
Okay.
Steph's dad had a party on the 17th of December. And we just finished a whole bunch of recording. I'd been in the studio for 3 months. I was completely exhausted. And I was like, this is going to be a great party. I'm going to have a great time. And I had a great time till 2:45. And I slipped over. And I sprained my ankle. Now, I thought you could sprain your ankle and then you can get over it, because I've done that before. But in actual fact, it's taken 2 months to recover. And I couldn't walk. And I was on crutches till the beginning of January.
Ouch, must have been a bad one.
Yeah, and I didn't know you could do it like that, but you can. Anyway, so consequently, I was sitting at the computer. I wanted to work, and I thought, I'm not going to just sit here all Christmas. I couldn't see my friends. I couldn't go drinking. I couldn't have any of the fun I was going to have. And I thought, well, we need a web page, and I put it off. We had a kind of web page, and I had fiddled around with things like Typepad, and the kind of blogging things.
Yeah.
And I fiddled around with the code to make them a bit more like a page. But I'd always held off on doing the web page because it was just one other thing I didn't want to have to do myself. I mean, we'd done everything ourselves. I was just thinking, oh God, now I have to do the web page ourselves. Can't we just get someone who likes us to do it? But I sat there and I thought, well, another friend of mine had set up a kind of forum, music forum thing, and he said, I was with this place called SiteGround, and I said, well, I'll check it out. And I went there, and I thought, it's only 30 quid for a year, I'll open an account. And of course I go to the main Fantastico page and there's a whole bunch of stuff you can install. I'm like, well, I've never installed a thing like that in my life. I didn't really know what PHP was all about, even though I'd heard about it. And I clicked a few things. The first thing I clicked was the PHP nuke stuff.
Yeah, that's where I started actually.
Yeah, and I fiddled around with the nuke stuff, and it was like, well, it was pretty cool actually. When I first got it running, fiddling around with a few ideas, I was kind of quite chuffed with what I came up with. But when I compared it to the websites I was looking at, it looked a bit rubbish. It just didn't have some level of finesse about it. It looked a bit clunky. It looked a bit late 90s and not early 20s, if you know what I mean. And even the templates and stuff I was fiddling with, I couldn't get it to do all the stuff I wanted. And it seemed like development had kind of slacked off when I looked at all the forums and looked at how much stuff was being developed. It had kind of trailed off. So I looked at Postnik. And then I looked at WordPress and all this other blog stuff, and suddenly, within a month of having the account, I'd installed every single thing known to man onto my, I'd almost fulfilled my quota on the web page for just space used, and I spent the next week taking it all off. But I ended up with Mambo, and of course I ended up with Joomla. The main thing that tilted it over to Joomla initially was the fact that Gig Calendar appeared. And I thought, that's cool. There's a calendar where you can put all your gigs and upcoming dates, and it's really, really easy to use. That's gigcalendar.com or .net or .com.
.net.
.net. That's pretty cool.
It's very cool, and it's dominating a lot of our podcasts, strangely, because I think I've had an illusionist on who's using it, and we had Gretchen Peters in a previous podcast, who's a big-time singer from Nashville, who's using it. So it's going to be really popular.
Yeah, well, it's a doddle to use. I've sent them a few emails back and forwards as I was trying to get it to work. Just a few ideas, but it's not actually live on the site at the moment, but it will be, and we're going to use it not just for gigs, but for events, because we've got stuff like this interview with you, we've got radio stuff lined up for later in the year with local radio and other radio stations, other podcasts. I want to use it to put not just gigs, but stuff that people are going to see coming up, and it's pretty cool for that. But anyway, it didn't seem to be that happy on Mambo, and seemed very happy on Joomla. And I ditched the Mambo site and went over to Joomla, and haven't looked back really. Of course, working all this stuff out was a complete pain in the ass. Oh, I don't want to use Nuke. Oh, well, let's try Post Nuke. Oh, I don't want to use that. Let's try Mambo. Oh, the cool stuff doesn't work. I need to use Joomla. Oh, now I've used Joomla, some of the Mambo stuff. So it's a huge learning curve. But
I must say,
compared to
the site looks great.
Compared to the learning curve I've had previously with other stuff like this, this is easy. You know, back in the day, 5 years ago, you couldn't have done anything like this that quickly. I pretty much got the site up and running in a month from scratch, and without really knowing what I was doing. Now, I'm used to programming and stuff a bit. I mean, like a lot of the people you read about, such as some of the developers on Joomla, you know, fiddling around with the ZX81, then fiddling around with the Spectrum, then a Commodore 64. And, you know, I flunked my A-level computers because I was too busy writing music, and I did the whole music college bit. But that's about it. I'm not a huge hacker programmer, but I've got the patience, which I think is pretty much all you need for that kind of stuff.
I think you've done a top job, and in fact, I showed it to some of the members of the team, and they're pretty excited about it. In fact, we're impressed with the way you've got the player working. You want to tell us how you did that?
Well, that's the Wimpy player, actually.
Yeah.
So let me just have a look at it. Like a lot of people, I've had real problems. I was sitting there going, right, I want a player, and it's got to be simple. It's got to be G-Wonderfied. It's got to look a bit G-Wonder. But the problem is there was a few modules where you could actually have it, you know, you could have a player open in a window as content, but of course as soon as you leave the content it stops. You could also have the player in a module, but the module refreshes every time you click something. The one thing I really was trying to find was, as you know, with modules you can choose, with a lot of this stuff, to have a cache or not.
Yes.
I was desperately trying to find a way, having a module that would show content of my own making, but cache it so it would refresh. But that didn't seem to be possible. So on the Wimpy player site, and the Wimpy player is the best thing I found, it basically creates the code for you. You type in a bunch of stuff, you say I want this big and that big and whatever, and it will create for you a pop-up link. You have to kind of attach that to a graphic so it can actually call the JavaScript. You can't actually use it from Joomla by creating a link and then choosing a link URL. It won't work like that because you've actually got to call the JavaScript from somewhere else. So you have to make a button. And the Wimpy site tells you exactly how to do it. So it's not any kind of, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to work it out, because I did. The only problem was actually trying to work out how to put it on the site so that people who were as thick as two short planks could still work out how to get hold of it. When we first had the jukebox symbol there, people weren't clicking it because they didn't realise that jukebox meant music. So that was a pain. People were saying, where's the music? I was like, okay, we need to have a link which says listen, or something really bloody obvious. So we put the listen now thing, and then people would read that, and then they'd have to click the jukebox as well. So we thought, well, if we embed the player in the listen now section, and it will start playing immediately, so complete idiots can still listen to the music instantly, and then have a button describing that if you want to listen to the jukebox separately while you browse the site, you can do so. We did that, put it in there. It was really easy, really easy. Embedding the player in the site is just like embedding any other Flash. And the Wimpy player pops up. The code is on the Wimpy site. It's easy peasy.
So was there any fees involved in that? Getting that sorted?
Any what fees?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay for the movie player.
Yeah.
You have to buy it.
So how much was that?
I think it was about 17 quid.
Okay, well that's reasonable.
I cannot remember actually, because that was the only other thing we bought was Slideshow Pro, and Slideshow Pro is the thing that does the pictures.
I was going to ask you about that because I saw it was in a wrapper.
That is in a wrapper. Basically, I had to resize. I'm just looking at it myself now. The pictures is in a wrapper. The actual thing you get from Slideshow Pro is you get basically a block of Flash. You've got to open it up in Dreamweaver and Flash, or what have you. So you can actually change the dimensions to actually fit. So when I first put it in, it was kind of breaking the boundaries of the web page and going left and right too much. So with just a bit of fiddling, it fitted. The one thing it does allow you to do on Slideshow Pro is when you've got it open in Flash, you can fiddle around with some of the preferences for background color, text, and all this kind of stuff. So all I did was, because the site is a very simple orange and black and white affair, I just took all the color out. So you've just got black and white. And really, Slideshow Pro does the rest. Now, just using Slideshow Pro out of the box is okay. But actually, if you do it that way, you have to kind of upload the whole bundle of Flash and the pictures all together in one lump. Which is a kind of pain when you want to change file paths and you want to muck around. I downloaded another thing. Let me just check out what it's called. I think it's called... Just hang on a minute. SSP Admin. It was a link I found actually from the Slideshow Pro site. And SSP Admin is a little kind of extra PHP app which you can load into your web page and use as an admin backend. And it lets you change the order of your gallery and muck around with different sets and the metadata and all kinds of stuff without you having to get your hands dirty. It wasn't totally easy to install. I had to do a bit of hacking, which is how it explains it in the documents. You have to do a bit of hacking to the code of Slideshow Pro to make it work. But once it's up and running, you can easily just, like when you're sending an email, you basically just go to it, you say I want to make a new gallery, you upload all the images, you tell it what size you want them, and it does it. So your Slideshow Pro gallery is automatically updated. You don't have to actually change anything else. You can do it all from clicking on the admin panel. And so that's highly recommended. SSP Admin it's called. You can find the link on the Slideshow Pro webpage.
That's great. Pardon me. We haven't actually given the address of your website. You might want to do that for us. And
yeah, the address is gwonder.com. That's the letter G, Wonder, as in Georgia Wonder. So it's www.gwonder.com. The actual band name is Georgia Wonder, as in the place Georgia, in America. But if you're ever saying Georgia Wonder over the radio, you will notice that it's really hard to remember, and it's quite difficult to type in your web page address. Even when I type georgiawonder.com into the main address place, I tend to get Georgia wrong, and my E's and O's all get in the wrong order.
Yeah.
And G Wonder just seems to stick, and it's really easy to remember, and people can easily type it in. And that's it really. But we're actually called Georgia Wonder. If you see the logo on the web page, you'll see it. Georgia Wonder actually is a funny name because coming up with band names is a real pain in the arse, and we're kind of into kind of sort of strange vaudeville type acts from the 1800s and all that kind of stuff. So we're interested in all that kind of thing, such as Houdini, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Georgia Wonder was actually a vaudeville act from the late 1800s from Georgia, and she used to do a show where basically she was a little tiny thing. She was only about 14 or 15. She'd get up on stage and these guys would come up and she'd be able to repel them at will with her magnetic powers. she basically did this act for about 4 or 5 years, totally disappeared, and didn't appear again until she was in her 40s. But, three guys would come up, and she'd hold a cane, and they'd try and push her over, and she'd have them fall on the floor. Two strong men would hold her, and then they would be able to lift her, and then she'd look at them, and then they would be able to lift her. It was quite a stir she created in that time.
Can you tell us a bit about the music?
Yeah, well, like I said, it kind of came about because when I first met Steph and we started working together, I had a lot of songs which I considered a bit more singer-songwriter than stuff you'd write for other people. I haven't passed it for other people, but these were more personal songs, and I'd always felt a bit more embarrassed or unable to really do the 100% expression thing, which it just didn't feel. I liked doing it, but I was a bit embarrassed. I'm a guy. Come on. And I was opening my heart out. I've never been really a great singer myself, and I'd always been shy, I guess is the word for it. When Steph actually started singing the stuff I'd written, it suddenly brought it to life. And as you know from hearing her sing, she has the kind of voice, she could probably sing about anything and you'd believe her. And it really helped my songs, to get my songs across. And of course she brought her own style to it. The kind of voice she has as well, she's been compared to Karen Carpenter and people like that. So she can really rock out and belt and do very loud, high rock vocals with the best of them. So she also has a very, very beautiful, quiet singing voice. And so writing songs that could show her off in all those forms became kind of part of the challenge, really. And if you listen to, obviously the stuff on the webpage, you've got some very, very quiet songs where she's singing very quietly, and other songs where she's really belting it. And that there's been a kind of challenge to come up with a sound that still sounds like Georgia Wonder when it's loud or it's soft. A lot of rock bands will just make 10 tracks and they're all cranking it out, or just be kind of, hiding behind the piano and an acoustic and do an entire acoustic thing. We get bored too quickly. We wanted to somehow, have a bit of fun, because we have a laugh. You read the webpage, we're kind of, we like talking rubbish. We have fun together. The whole band has a laugh. We wanted some songs that reflect that. Genius does, and there's some other stuff you get to hear. But at the same time, we want to write deep and meaningful stuff if we want to. And so I guess the problem has been trying to work a way of doing all of that without losing our identity. But again, it started off because Steph knew what she did and didn't like, and spent half the time in the first year chucking all my songs out the window.
Oh, great.
Which actually helped, because she was right, and and it didn't fit, and you have to try and work out, how you can make everyone happy without compromising. It's an arduous process.
Do you think musicians embracing the internet to market themselves is a paradigm shift in terms of their ability to reach the public compared to the way the music companies used to operate?
Well, it's a funny one, because bands are not promoters, and bands are not managers necessarily. There are very few examples where the manager has been the band, or the solo artist has entirely promoted themselves 100%, because it's hard to be objective. The bands who think they're the best probably have the worst webpage, or the most overinflated ego webpage, or just haven't got their head around it. I mean, to promote a band to be hugely successful within a year costs a lot of money. If you want a band to go from never being heard of to being heard of by the whole world in a year, it takes more than just the band being good and having talent. It's a huge amount of money that has to be spent to get them on the TV, to get them touring, to get their name everywhere, and all this. Of course, the web is fantastic, because anyone can have a web page, but with your famous, with your fame for 15 minutes, that might be as long as it lasts, because I don't think fame is even 15 minutes long anymore, as Andy Warhol said, because you can click on a web page and leave it in a second. It's got to be sticky. They've got to like your music. And as you know from looking at MySpace and stuff like that, 99.9% of the music is still rubbish, whether it's on the internet or not. I think there's a lot to be said for, let's pretend we're only talking about bands that are good. Bands that are good now have far more opportunity to do self-promotion than they ever had. But I think what might have happened is people have become more self-promotional aware because of the internet. When you look at the internet and you realise how much is out there, you realise just how much effort it takes to get even 100 hits on your site. It takes a lot of emails.
Yeah, it does.
It takes a lot of phone calls, People aren't going to come and say no about it. But saying that, PR, which is not marketing or management, it's just making stories for yourself. PR is free. And as the Arctic Monkeys have proved, if you can come up with a good enough story, then the internet can really help you deliver most of it for free. And I think that's really where a lot of the power is. You can basically create a story for yourself using the internet, and that's never really been possible before. You're still going to need them.
If you hadn't posted if you hadn't posted that story on Joomla, we wouldn't have known about what you were doing. We might have missed it altogether, but you had written a nice piece.
Exactly. Well, I wrote a nice piece because I wanted to help other bands and because it saves people a lot of time. But of course, I wanted you guys to know about it. And that is what I guess PR is all about. I wrote something I thought would be useful. You pick up on it. And there off it goes. But you've got to have the initial idea to do something like that in the first place. It's not just good enough to have a web page. I think people are going to show up just because you've written a great song. It's funny with viral marketing as well. We've all had emails where there's a cute kitten playing with a bucket, or have you seen this funny flash thing? It's some guy pulls a chair out of his nose. That stuff flies around like crazy. Music doesn't do that. Music isn't funny, and it's very rare that anybody will get an email of an MP3 of a band and they will then forward it on. It's too big. It's not immediately apparent to most people if it's any good or not. Comedy whizzes around virally like crazy. So music has certain problems on the internet. Again, MySpace is a good example. 1 million trillion people on MySpace. People listening to each other's songs for the first 3 seconds. The kind of stuff that A&R men in the old days would be accused of only listening to the first 2 seconds of people's songs. We're doing it all the time now. You go on MySpace, you click a few things, listen to 5 seconds of someone's track, and you're on to the next one. So much material is so available that it all becomes nothing. There doesn't seem to be any value attached to it, and I think, like with any band or any product or anything you're doing, you've got to try and create some value. People need to come to your webpage and go, hey, this is Stevie Wonder, they're cool, and I like them, I understand them, I get them, I love the music, I kind of like the pictures. You've got to create this kind of world. If they just turn up and they hear some music and that's it, then they won't really come back. And there's not enough. You're not giving them enough. It's almost like, you think about it, back in the day, you'd have a gatefold double album sleeve and there'd be artwork and there'd be pictures and all this stuff. You could spend hours looking at the album artwork.
Yeah, I do miss all that.
But I guess now what you've got is the web page kind of has to take the place of that. It has to be a place where people can see pictures and your doodlings and what you're thinking and some art and pictures and all other kinds of stuff. I think there's a place for it. And I think it really helps people get into your world and your way of thinking and connect with you. That's the best thing about it. People can immediately say, for instance, on the web page, I've got a poll, which song do you like the best? That's invaluable.
Yeah, I like, I must say that I like the photograph of your lyric book.
Yeah, again, I've talked to other people about, I say to people all the time, like a photographer friend of mine today, I was like, you should start a blog, I said. And he said, well, I don't want to start a blog. Who wants to hear what I've got to say? And I said, well, who doesn't want to hear what you've got to say? You don't even know what you're going to say. If you're a photographer and you've got something to say, even if you're writing about going to Sainsbury's and you hate queues, then another photographer might read it more than someone else's. Someone might wonder what photographers think about queues in Sainsbury's. You don't really know until you do it. or anything you write about yourself has some value, because people can get into your mind, they can get into your world, understand you. And I think with a band or with anything else similar, people like to feel like they're connected, and it's more than just liking the songs, it's thinking they are into what you're into. And I think it's important. Again, that's something that's never been possible before. Usually you'd have to do 1,000 gigs and 101 interviews on the radio and TV appearances before anyone even realised what you were like. People can now look at your webpage and your personality can come through in it. And people can really get where you're at, and they can immediately make a judgment whether they like you or not. That's the only problem. They can immediately look at your webpage and go, well, I like the music, but you suck. Your webpage sucks. So you can't be that good.
I must admit, I'm old enough to remember vinyl, and I used to sometimes buy a record on the strength of the cover.
I think we've all done that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd buy a CD on the strength of the cover.
No.
I guess I might have used it when it first appeared. But not anymore, really.
No, it's changed, hasn't it? In that sense.
Well, there's a lot of talk, really, about, people are going, oh God, people aren't going to buy albums anymore, people are only going to buy singles. Other people are going, well, that's great. At least you won't have to buy the other 7 tracks you didn't like on the album. At least on an album, by whoever, there's 24 tracks. You don't have to buy the other 18 you don't like and pay £10.
Yeah.
You can just buy the 3 you like. I know that I've had a lot of, when I'm hanging around on music forums, people say, oh, have you heard this? And I'm like, oh. And I go to iTunes or whatever, and I hear the song I kind of like for whatever reason, just buy the one track, 79p. Don't want to buy the album. I just had that little moment where I kind of dug it. I guess with different types of artists, of course, you're going to have different stuff, but I think the one thing that hasn't been capitalised on, really, is the fact that now you don't have to be any length. You could actually have a song up there which is 2 hours long, because suddenly the CD is irrelevant. You're not worrying about the format anymore. So I think, personally, that people should do albums which are 3 times longer than Pink Floyd with no breaks. It will totally screw up all the pirates, because you wouldn't be able to download it without hiring an extra broadband. And people will get more creative instead of thinking they need to have 3.5-minute pop songs. I mean, what's ridiculous about the internet is it opens up all the boundaries and people continuously talk about closing them. Why not write a 3-second song? Why not write a 2-hour song? Why not just do whatever?
Yeah.
But I think gradually people will get out of it. And the other thing about the internet, of course, is you can deliver much higher bit rate. You don't have to deliver 44.1 kilohertz recordings, which is the CD standard. On the internet, completely playable by your computer, you can download music which is twice the bit rate. You can download music which is twice the quality. Twice as good as CDs,
yeah.
And the sound is incredible. People aren't doing it. You can download surround sound, huge files, which you'd otherwise have to buy on a DVD or stuff. With broadband, people could be selling you new versions of their songs, which are in surround sound with speakers. And I know a lot of guys playing games, especially, and we at G1 do like playing games. A lot of guys have got their computers rigged up with surround sound for games playing. So there's all these different new markets, but all anyone ever talks about is piracy and 3.5-minute pop songs. Yeah,
well, there's vested interest at heart, I think. They don't want the paradigm to change.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's one of those things, though. You do want to sell records. I mean, you want to sell songs. You've got to make a living. But at the same time, I think there should be. You need to experiment. There's all kinds of stuff that's yet to be done with delivering different types of audio. At the moment, we've all gone the other way, where obviously with MP3s, the sound quality's got worse, and we've all got more of it, as opposed to the sound quality getting better and choosing fewer things, which possibly is the way it will go, because I think the days are over where people are collecting 3,000 million songs to put in their iPod to show off. People are beyond that now. It's just like kind of, hey, can I just have some stuff so that when I press shuffle, I don't hate it all? Which I remember when you first get your iPod and you fill it up with all this stuff, and you fill it up with all this stuff, and you spend the next 2 weeks jogging or gym or on the tube or whatever it is, wishing that you hadn't put all that crap on there, because every time you press shuffle, it's something on an album you don't remember there being this bad track on. You spend another week taking it all off. You end up with actually quite a few. There's only about 500 songs anyone really wants to listen to that they really can say they love. And the rest of it's just rubbish. So there's more space on your iPod, I think, for different kinds of stuff. Again, I think that's proved by the fact that the iPod, the video iPod, has taken off so well. People are ready to have, just a few bits of video and then some good songs.
Yeah. Pardon me. I haven't got one of those, but they certainly look good.
Yeah, I haven't got one either, but again, on my wish list of all the nonsense I don't need, that's kind of high on the list.
It's on your list as well. Julian, just for an intro, because I didn't get one, can you introduce yourself and where you're from and give me the web address?
Okay.
And say hello to...
Hi. Okay.
And just say hello to the guys at Joomla.
Right then. Okay, this is Julian Moore from the band G Wonder. I'm talking about Joomla on Joomla Juice, I think it's called. We've been using Joomla extensively on our website. In fact, that's all we use after fiddling with a few things. You can check out our website. It's www.gwonder.com, and that's gwonder, the letter G, wonder.com.
Very cool. That was very good.
Wow.
First time.
I mean, this is the first thing like this I've ever done in my life, so that's kind of interesting.
I had fun. I don't know if you bothered listening to the one I did with Gretchen Peters.
I haven't had a listen actually. I mean, because I just got back from holiday, I've spent all day on the phone. Because I've got other things like this to do.
Yeah.
Not as nerdy as this, I've got to say. This is about as nerdy as it gets.
I know it's nerdy, but it's an audience, and there are there's a lot of people in our crowd that are from all different walks of life, and there's people who like music. It's Joomla community is not full of Linux geeks. There's lots of people that would be your demographic.
Well, the other thing is, from doing all this stuff, it was surprising to just see how much feedback you get so quickly. I mean, of course, none of the feedback's ever quick enough when you're stuck. You're sitting on the forum checking it every second, going, "Please, some bastard, please answer my questions." And it never seems to be fast enough, so I don't think it ever will be. But there's enough development going on and enough people to help each other out. I mean, within 2 weeks of not knowing anything, I was helping people out, because that's how quickly you can get up and running. And it's not that none of it works, it's just that you find out how to get around things and you just post it up. And sometimes I had questions that were never answered, and after a month finally I managed to work things out, and then I posted up my own answer.
Yeah,
and people tend to do that.
Myself.
Yeah, people tend to do that pretty well. And because there's enough active development going on, people are up for comments. People don't create things and disappear.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get hold of most of the developers who are doing it in their bedrooms, And anyway, I have to say though, it's the first skirmish I've ever had with open source at such a level. And as I did it, I started getting quite a warm feeling and a bit of a warm glow towards all these people who for years, unknowns to me, had been writing all this fantastic stuff and just getting off on it. It's like the biggest global wank ever for programmers.
I'll say buzz.
It is, and people are sort of doing it because they can. And that was really, after a month, I was saying to Steph, I sort of want to go and give everyone a cuddle, because it's just, you do stuff and people make stuff and it works and it makes your web page better, and you want to go and shake everyone's hand and buy them all a beer, but you can't, because one of them lives in India and one of them lives in Ohio, and everyone's all over the place. But it does give you quite a warm feeling when you get things working, and you actually get to know people, which is bizarre. I've done it with other things, but not actually with programming. But the open source thing is brilliant.
So when do we get a chance to come and see you guys performing?
That's a very good question. We are putting the rest of the band together at the moment. Actually, on the stuff you've heard, I played every instrument apart from drums. So it has been a complete pain in the arse doing everything since we started. This cannot go on, and so we've basically got other people in who want to be in the band, and we're going to write with as well, down in Portsmouth. So we've got a drummer now and another guitarist, and we're auditioning other guys to come in and join us. So we want to kind of have a sort of guerrilla team, so that we can do acoustic sets with a whole bunch of us at the drop of a hat, as well as rock out on stage. So initially we're going to be doing radio. We're doing stuff like this with you. We're doing some community radio down here in Portsmouth. There's some other local radio we're doing. And like I said, I've just got back from holiday, so from now on the push starts when we do we're doing it all ourselves, our own press, we're doing all our own PR and mail outs. But again, because we have a web page, when you do that stuff, you have a shop window for people to see, and people can get excited about it that second. They don't have to wait. And it basically, I think I missed saying this before, having a web page just speeds the process up. You've still got to do the phone calls, you've still got to send letters to newspapers, you've still got to hassle people. But when you've got a web page, you've got to do less explaining. What do you like? Check out the web page. They can see exactly what you like.
Yeah,
so
very helpful too.
So for us, the radio is important. With radio, of course, you get a big audience, just like you do with a web page, very quickly. We will then start backing it up with gigs, hopefully sometime in the summer. But again, there's a lot of songs we've got to get sorted, and we want to go out all guns blazing. And hopefully we'll be as good as the web page.
Well, please keep in touch with us, mate, because we'll try and help you where we can. If we can get a crowd to a door, we will.
Yeah, well, I'm just imagining all these Joomla geeks turning up with kind of those, coloured T-shirts on,
Oh, when we've got some available, we'll send some down for you and Steph, and you'll have to send us a photograph.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay, now, we were going to do one other thing. Did you get my email before?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, did you think of a word? I sent you an email, I just asked you to, think of a word and write it down.
Yeah.
You did that, did you?
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm asking you this is because, G Wonder and Georgia Wonder, it comes from that kind of vaudeville side of things, and we're interested in that. I mean, Steph does stuff like this too, and I do it. And I thought this might be an interesting thing to include in the podcast,
Yeah.
So you're thinking of this word, and you've got it written in front of you. That really helps. Can you just sort of scan it? That's all right. I have to say to everybody that we're not on a video cast here. This is just audio, and I can't see what Peter's written. You just think about it, and try and project to me somehow through the airwaves or through the pod waves, whatever it is. Try and send me the letter. Scan it. Try and send me a letter that could be in the word. Okay. I'm guessing the letter T. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now I'm not sure. This is difficult. I think I'm getting the letter N.
No.
Well, is there a letter N in it? No,
it's not.
No. Okay. I think that might be an H, actually.
Well, there is an H there.
Yeah. Okay, that's at the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, the N and an H. Sometimes I get those mixed up when I'm thinking about them because they're quite similar. I'm not sure how you wrote it. Perhaps the H wasn't properly crossed or something. Are you thinking of the word tough?
Yes, I've got rough handwriting, but tough is the word.
You're thinking of the word tough. Okay, I just thought I'd try that out. That's what the Georgia Wonder is all about, and I thought I'd leave you with that at the end of our podcast.
Oh, great. I'll have to think about that tonight.
This is Julian Moore on Joomla Juice, and I'm in the band Georgia Wonder, gwonder.com, and we're playing out now with our song Genius.
Well, the last thing I expected was to have my mind read over the pod waves, but Julian certainly proved that it was possible. No tricks there. He actually did work out the word that I'd written down. So don't forget to visit Georgia Wonder at gwonder.com, and hopefully he'll let us know when there's a gig on and we can let you know so we can all turn up in our Joomla t-shirts.
Ow, I just fell down the stairs.
Please hang up and try again.